First, giving all praises to the Most High Yah. Shalom, shalom. Welcome to another episode of History and Destiny. I have some special guests up in here. My brother Oshriel Ben Israel. And the one and only CEO of Dance for Life, choreographer, master dancer, Hananel Ben Israel.
Yeah!
I am your host, Yehoiakim Ben Israel, and it is a pleasure again to have you all here with us for another episode.
We're coming from across seas. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, both of my brothers, and Hananel, fresh off the plane. Toda for joining us here.
It is my pleasure.
Yeah, buddy.
It's my divine pleasure.
Yes, sir. So we are part of the third generation. Saba, our grandfather, went to Israel, and my mother was born in Liberia, second generation, just about born in Israel, and myself, Oshriel, even you, born in Israel. Born and raised. So you're part of the second or third generation?
They say third, but I'm second generation because my Ima, first generation.
Okay. So in the lineup, second generation, but your children, third generation. Fourth generation, my children.
Wow.
So 4 generations, 2 born and raised in the Holy Land. You know, we can change. We can snap our finger and change this conversation and all be speaking Hebrew for the rest of, for the duration of the podcast. נכון מאוד, כן?
נכון. צודק.
אנחנו העבריים מדימונה. כן. But so I wanted to start off just by giving us a background of who you are and your first time outside of the borders of Israel, and how was that for you?
Okay, well, I'm Hananel Ben Israel, born and raised in Israel, of course. I have 10 children, a father, 10 children. I'm a choreographer, a dancer, CEO of a company. I have my own company. Me and my wife together, we created a whole company, HDG, which is a corporation of different companies. Dance is a remote business. It comes up, everything comes under this umbrella. And successful, been going for 2 years. It's building and moving up and up. I've been dancing for as long as I can remember, since I was a baby. And I've been teaching since I was 16.
Something that you say that just for the audience, me and you used to live side by side. The bakery and then your house next door, you know. We wake y'all up 4 o'clock in the morning with the baked goods.
I used to come over there, got some pito. Come on in, get you a fresh pito.
You said damn near elbow to elbow.
Man, put some ice cream on the pita and we was going back. Man, nice hot pita with some cold ice cream. Ice cream sandwiches.
Ice cream on the pizza. That's serious. Okay, so and it's almost a decade difference between you and I. I think we were talking earlier, and you told me that you 42. Okay, and myself, I'm 35, and so again, almost a full decade there. So you've seen things before me, and you knew Israel in that day and time before me and Oshriel came around. Can you give us a snippet of what that day looked like before we came around, and I guess once we were shorties, so that we can tune in to that day and time?
Well, when I was born back in the 80s, 81, which of course their short strip was in 85. So I was born in the era where we were it was revolution. We had just moved onto the Kfar from I was actually one of the first ones that was born on the Kfar. Okay. You know, because everybody else was in the Shikun. So that's when they gave us the house. We moved to the Kfar. it was interesting. It was back in the day where everything was revolution. It was communal. It was a tight knit community, all in common. Everybody, Brothers Day, Sisters Day, Youth Day. Everybody had their day. The holy days. Everything was a sacred thing, you know. And coming up, I got to experience different levels of the kingdom. That real tight net, and then it went on to where we started finding independence, and you know, back there we were all staying on the kafar, and I grew up in a house where it was 2 bedrooms, but we was taught to live together as a unit, so it was about 4 of us in the bed.
How many families lived in your house?
In my house, I was blessed. We were the only family.
Wow.
We were the only family. My father, yes, we were the only family.
Only reason that's interesting because I remember when I was little, we had a big family, but eventually they moved in the family of Avior. Well, before that, Kazriel stayed.
And before it was that, it was Yitzhak and all of them. Yeah, the doctor.
They stayed in the house with us?
They stayed in your house. They most definitely did.
That was before my time.
Yeah, they did. Team 9, all of them. It was a whole family. They were there. They were there. That's where they lived.
So yeah, back in that day, again, your day is 81, my day is 89. So in 89, I remember being on the kafar. I was born on the kafar, and I was born at the Beit Chaim, the House of Life, and 3 or 4 families in a house. You know,
Yeah, we was blessed to never have that. Like, I've never experienced living with another family.
Wow.
It was always my family, my core family. If it was when my father was there and he had 2 wives, we all lived in the same house. And then when one of the mothers moved out, my Ima stayed there. My mom stayed there, and she continued. And then when she remarried, that family moved into the house with us. So I've never had that.
And these houses that we're talking about, just to give the audience a background, these are absorption houses.
They were absorption houses.
Right. When you move to Israel, or when you make an aliyah, then they give you these houses to absorb you as you go through the transition. But we lived there for how many years now?
42 years.
42 years.
42 years, because I was one of the first ones who was born on the kafar. So yeah, 42 years.
Wow, that's just a lot of history right there. I mean, we can go the rest of this podcast just talking about that. All right, so when you first got on the plane and left those Israel borders, how did you feel?
Well, let me put this in context. This is not my first time leaving the country.
Okay.
Okay, I've left the country plenty of times before. Okay. Because of the way Israel's set up, if you get in debt, you ain't going nowhere.
Story of my life.
You're not going nowhere. And if you do get out, if you step foot back in that country, for anybody who's watching this, if you got any type of debt and you live there or did not live there and think you are not getting away, otherwise don't go back into Israel. Because if you go back into Israel and you have any type of debt, they will lock you down until you paid it.
That has that policy.
But that's one of the reasons why I ain't been back yet. You know, it's been forever. I mean, I've been wanting to go back and visit my family, but I don't want to get in a situation like I was in. Like, I was depressed. I got in debt when I was like 16, and I didn't get out until I was 27. So I was one of the ones in my class that I seen the road late in life. At 27, you damn near old as shit. You never been nowhere.
He said late in life.
Yeah. So, man, when I got out, I wasn't looking back. I was happy to be out, but I miss my family. I want to go back. But if I go back, I got to deal with things that it will have me there for a while, and I just can't afford it.
But I like to look at the half full of everything, because it teaches you to be responsible. Absolutely. It teaches you how to maintain yourself, maintain your life, be responsible with your decisions. Absolutely. Because it took me 12 years. 12 years. I had 2 babies that were born in Israel and was moved to London because of family circumstances. Mm-hmm. And I was going back and forth a lot. I started traveling at 16 to be exact, because we had the recommitted youth. And the first time I left the country, I went to Ghana.
Wow.
With the recommitted youth. When we went there on the program, we went and actually, they did like an excursion into Ghana. We went there for like 3 weeks, if I'm not, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks. And it was a beautiful experience. That was a shock. That was my first time leaving the country, and it was a culture shock, because in Israel, we the only black people besides the Ethiopians who back then, and so just so we understand, if we're talking about history, when I was born and I was coming up, Ethiopians were not able to communicate with us. We was persona non grata. That's how you say it.
Who was telling them not to talk to us?
They knew not to have a conversation.
Let me give you a historical background, because I've learned it. I wasn't around during that time, but I like history. So when they bought the Ethiopians to Israel in 71, I believe. 71. They call it the Solomon Shlomo, Mivtah Shlomo. Okay, אז הביאו אותם מאתיופיה, דרך סודן, בהליכה עד ישראל. And then they were walking to Israel already, because there was a war there in Ethiopia. So they took some planes and they went and got them. And Mivtah Shlomo. So when you go through the airport right now in Israel, you'll see on the walls pictures of that day, Mivtah Shlomo. Okay, so yes, when the Ethiopians got to Israel, they were told not to come near us.
Because if so, they was taking their rights from them.
Yeah, they wasn't giving them no rights.
Wow.
Because they didn't want whatever. First of all, no government can take responsibility for us coming into that country, because we got there without their permission. The Creator is the only one that take credit for us being in that land. Right. And they couldn't get us out of there. So that was the case with the Ethiopians. We're back to when you first left the country.
All right. So when I left, I'm from Israel. I see Hebrews. They're the only black people that we knew of. You know what I'm saying? We didn't run into the Ethiopians. We didn't run into nobody else. So you were surrounded by all these white people, and I'm talking frank, because I don't even care. We were walking around, all the European, the Jews, as they call, and we were only black people. I landed into Africa. First of all, they had scared us about Africa before. You walk into the jungle, into this, and you land into an airport, a proper airport. But everybody black. Everybody. It wasn't a white face. I was like, and then they like, stop staring. I'm like, no, I can't. I just can't not stare, because
I never seen this before.
Do you know how many black people this is? And hey, my brother, how are you, my brother? I started changing I'm good, my brother. How are you? Are you good? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Shalom. Shalom from Israel. So that was the cultural shock for that one. And then I traveled a lot until I was about 24. I was traveling, 25. I traveled. I was going back and forth to England. I was going to Ghana. I fell in love with Ghana. And then circumstance happened, and we being nice people, and we were raised and taught to help and to contribute and give. And as a consequence, I helped, contribute, and gave. And then I gave myself into debt, which, I mean, you know how that goes.
So you saying when you got to Ghana, that culture shock, because again, we grew up around Europeans, European Jews around us, and we were only Africans, if you will, that we knew at that time in Israel, right? And so that culture shock, because it hit me the first time I came to the U.S. in 2006. Got off the plane, culture shock. You know, Mincy Kid was talking about that last time. I'm not sure when it hit you, the culture shock, but it happens to most of us, because even now, the African presence in Israel is still at a minority, right? So there's a culture shock when you leave there. When I went to Kenya, I still got that culture shock that you got, you know.
It's real.
I had my culture shock when I landed in Chicago. That was the first place I landed when I came here. Listen, I get off the plane. You know, you don't just get off the plane and you go outside. That's like probably up in Turkey or something, right? Where you like get off the plane and go to another plane. In Chicago, only after you finish dealing with all of your, you know what I'm saying, papers and all of that, you go outside to get on the bus. And I was outside or whatever. You know, I was just still in the days or whatever, and It was this American he was black or whatever, with hazel eyes, tattoos and everything. This was they hiring anybody up in here. Like, he was working in the airport, but the way he looked, you look like he was trapping in the hood. Like, how you get hired at the airport? And he was directing people. He was screaming and hollering. And I was just lost, and that was my culture shock. I looked up, he was this close, he had hazel eyes, and he was black. I've never seen that in my life. And I said, damn, I'm here. So that was my culture shock.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to talk about when I got now this trip, I came to the States in 2003. But when I came to the States in 2003, I came with the dance company, Spirit of David Dance Theater.
Spirit of David Dance Company.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I came here with Spirit of David Dance Theater, we still were protected. We still was locked in. It still was very, very, very controlled. So they controlled where we went. They controlled who we saw. They controlled what we ate. Everything was
protected.
Was protected and control. I use control. It was protected.
I'm saying, when I say protective, and I just want the audience to be able to understand, because, I mean, if it's not protected, let them know. You're right. Right.
But it was very, very organized.
Right.
I'm going to use that word, not control. It was very organized. Extremely organized. It was extremely planned. We knew where we were going, from here to here to here. Yeah. Studio, blah, blah, whatever.
Spirit of David, wow.
So I never got to experience this level of experience. So when I decided that I was going to come here, and I said, I need to go there because I want to see what it's like for me, through my eyes and my experience. So I landed, I flew from London, because I went from Israel to London. I was in London for 3 weeks. I flew from London to America, landed in LA. And I was looking at the trees and I was all excited. Then flew from LA. Yes. Again, but I still had that Israel. I saw a beautiful building, but it still had that Israel vibe. I get into it. Moved from LA, went down to Houston, and I was one day I stayed in Houston. The next day my brother said, get up. We're going to go into Chicago. Go up there, do what you got to do. Then you're going to come back down here. The friends told me, whatever you do, and I quote, don't go to the south side of Chicago. Now, where did I land to? South side of Chicago, brother. Straight in the heart of Chicago. That threw me. I said, nope, I can't do this one. Wow. It threw me. You talking about another level. It looked like everything I saw on the movies, at least in the south side of where I was. It was everything I had you see on the movies. You know, I sometimes be like, man, they just be making up stuff. It painted. It was like a post and paste, like, copy paste of the mentality, the black mentality, the things that we were taught about, and it's like, this is real. You walk into a store and everything is glass. I mean, it's walled off. You got to stand there. You got to buzz you into a big store.
Oh, yeah. And the reason why I asked is because our roots come from Chicago. Yeah. And my first time in Chicago was 2011, I believe. Same shock. I remember the street I was on. It was Loomis and 75th. And I'm like, I probably want to visit America, but I don't want to stay here.
I told the person I was with, I said, listen, nah, Chicago ain't for me. Then we went on downtown and we saw on the Lake Michigan, and I was like in awe. It was beautiful. But I'm like this, we weren't raised that way. Right. Whatever we want to give or take away, the way we were raised with a certain level of dignity and certain level of pride as people, as human beings, that they can't relate and we can't relate. And even if we try to mimic certain things we think we know in Israel, land here.
And we can be as brown or black as possible, but we stand out like a toothpick.
Oh, that's something I realized over here. That's something I realized over myself. Like, I had met this American friend in this company I was in. She was working, she was a janitor in a Jew company. And, just like, she was trying to become cool with me, but it was something like to benefit her in a way. Like, she always found ways to ask me for money. And I'm like, we both working in the same company. Ain't like, I'm rich or something. I'm like, why you keep asking me for money? And I don't want to tell you no, but I ain't got nothing. Why you keep asking? So slowly but surely, I start understanding, like, we can't be the same, because I ain't asking her for money. I ain't got nothing, but I'm like, so what make you so comfortable with asking me for money?
We're not saying, and it's nothing bad. It's just the way we were raised. and brought up, we're not the same. We're not the same. And brother, I was standing in the bank. I didn't say one word. I was just standing in the bank. Brother said, excuse me, brother. I said, yeah. He said, where you from? So I told him, I said, what you mean? He said, oh, you're not from here.
Yeah.
You're not from here.
Yeah, y'all realize that.
You're not from here. So where are you from?
Yeah.
I said, I'm from Israel. He told me, I told you you weren't from here. That ain't no nigga. Wow. He said, that ain't no nigga.